The Persian Gulf is completely dark. It's 2 a.m. on a moonless Tuesday in 2026. The water is entirely still, acting like a black mirror under a dead sky. And right now, massive tankers crawl through the Strait of Hormuz. The crews aboard are exhausted, working the graveyard shift with stale coffee in hand, completely unaware that in just a few minutes, the sky above them is about to tear open. Half a world away, deep inside the windowless, reinforced concrete walls of the Pentagon, a secure phone is placed back on its receiver. The room is dead silent, because seconds earlier, the President of the United States gave an order that cannot be reversed. Operation Lion's Roar has been unleashed, and there is no going back. This isn't just an attack, it's something bigger. To understand the sheer gravity of this moment, you have to understand the chessboard. For decades, Iran has fortified its military, not on open battlefields, but deep inside the jagged, unforgiving terrain of the Zagros Mountains. They have buried their missile silos and drone factories under hundreds of feet of solid granite. Taking that out requires an operation with thousands of moving parts perfectly synchronized across multiple time zones, because in the next 45 minutes, over 300 targets will disappear from the map. The operation begins with silence, not peace, not calm, but the kind of silence that hides something catastrophic. High above the clouds, completely invisible to enemy radar, a squadron of B-2 bombers slip into Iranian airspace. The pilots breathe heavily into their oxygen masks, their eyes locked on the digital displays, feeding them real-time targeting data. Beneath the flight suits, their adrenaline is spiking. They know that a single mistake won't just fail the mission, it will cost hundreds of American lives and instantly ignite a regional holocaust. And then the cyberlock is picked. Millions of lines of weaponized software flood into Iranian military networks. Screens inside Iranian air defense bunkers flicker, freeze, and go entirely black. The objective is brutal: blind, deafen, and paralyze the entire military apparatus before the commanders on the ground even have a chance to rub the sleep from their eyes. The door is open, and then the sky falls. In the mountains outside Tehran, the ground suddenly lifts. For a split second, there is silence, and then impact. A shockwave tears through the valley, ripping apart rock, steel, and everything in between. Deep beneath the surface, bunker-busting munitions drill through layers of granite before detonating with surgical precision. Missile silos collapse in on themselves, buried under fire and pulverized earth. What was hidden is now being erased. Hundreds of miles away, in the port city of Bandar Abbas, another strike lands. Not loud, not chaotic, precise. Cruise missiles launched from silent submarines slice through the night sky and hit their targets within seconds. Naval docks erupt into flames. Warships burn at anchor. Fuel depots ignite, turning the coastline into a wall of fire. There is no warning, only impact. Across the country, air bases are hit almost simultaneously. Hangars filled with armed drones are wiped out before a single engine can start. Pilots don't even make it to the runway. For the next 45 minutes, the operation unfolds with terrifying precision. One target after another, gone. Command centers, radar systems, missile batteries, all disappearing before a single coordinated response can be formed. This isn't chaos, this is control, a military machine executing exactly as designed. High above, The pilots don't celebrate, they don't speak, because they know this is only half the mission, because war is never one-sided. As the first light of morning breaks over Iran, the full scale of destruction becomes visible. Entire facilities gone, communication lines severed, military infrastructure crippled, but not destroyed, not completely. Deep underground, far below the blast zones, something survives. A low-frequency radio crackles to life, static, then a voice, calm, controlled, alive. Orders begin to move, not through satellites, not through digital networks, but through something much harder to stop, simple, encrypted signals. The kind you can't shut down. And then the response begins. Heavy steel doors, hidden inside mountains, start to move, slowly, deliberately. Missiles, untouched by the strikes, are rolled into position, fueled, armed, raised toward the sky. This was always part of the plan, because when you corner something dangerous, it doesn't wait, it strikes back. Without warning, the mountains light up, one missile, then another, then dozens more, rising into the sky, cutting through the early morning light. Across the region, alarms begin to scream. U.S. bases in Iraq, Kuwait, the UAE, all receive the same signal. Incoming. There is no time to think, only react. Inside command centers, hands move fast. Interceptors are launched, one after another, trying to catch something that's already moving at Mach speed. Some are stopped, many are not. Explosions ripple across military installations. Runways crack, hangars collapse. The night is no longer silent, it is alive. And then, something even bigger begins to move. Across the Middle East, the network awakens. From southern Lebanon to the mountains of Yemen, proxy forces mobilize. Thousands of rockets, already loaded, already aimed, are launched within minutes. The air fills with fire. In Israel, defense systems activate instantly. Interceptors shoot upward, colliding with incoming rockets in mid-air. The sky becomes a battlefield. Light, sound, chaos. This is no longer a strike. This is a chain reaction, and it's spreading fast. But the most dangerous move is not happening in the sky. It's happening in the water. In the Strait of Hormuz, fast attack boats surge forward, small, fast, heavily armed, moving in coordinated swarm. Their target is not military, it's economic. The same tankers that were drifting silently just hours ago are now exposed, defenseless. Sea mines are dropped directly into shipping lanes, one after another, invisible, waiting, and then impact. A massive explosion tears through the hull of an oil tanker. Fire erupts. Black smoke pours into the sky. Within minutes, multiple vessels are hit, some burning, some sinking, all blocking the narrow passage. The world's most critical oil route is shut down, not slowly, not gradually, instantly, and the shock hits immediate. London, New York, Tokyo, markets begin to fall hard. Oil prices spike 30%, 40%, 50% in a matter of hours. Across the world, panic spreads. Fuel shortages begin. Airlines ground flights. Supply chains start to break. What started as a military operation has now become a global crisis. Inside Washington, the situation is spiraling. Reports flood in. Missile strikes, naval attacks, regional escalation. The plan worked. The targets were hit, but the consequences are no longer controlled. Because this was never going to stay contained. Not here, not now. The United States has weakened its opponent, but in doing so, it has triggered something much larger, a conflict spanning thousands of miles across land, air, and sea. As night falls again, the Persian Gulf is no longer silent. It burns. Jets roar overhead, missiles cut across the sky, smoke rises, thick, endless. The operation is over, but the war has just begun. Because once the first shot is fired, there is no reset, no rewind, only consequences. And a world holding its breath, waiting to see what happens next. And now, there's no turning back. By the end of the first day, the map of the Middle East has changed. Not politically, not officially, but physically. Air bases gone, ports burning, shipping lanes blocked. And somewhere beneath all of it, a question begins to rise. Was it worth it? Inside Washington, the screens don't stop updating. New strikes, new movements, new threats, each one more unpredictable than the last, because the problem with a perfectly executed plan is that it only works until it doesn't. The objective was clear: cripple the network, remove the threat, and for a moment, it worked. But war doesn't end when the objective is achieved. It evolves. Across Iran, the damage is undeniable. Entire facilities erased, years of military buildup reduced to rubble. But something else remains: resolve. Because history has shown nations don't break easily. They adapt, they absorb, and then they respond. The strikes may have slowed the machine, but they didn't stop it, not completely. And now, the conflict is no longer about one operation. It's about what comes next. Because every action has a reaction, and this reaction is still unfolding. Around the world, leaders begin to react. Emergency meetings, closed-door discussions, urgent calls between allies, because what's happening here is no longer regional, it's global. The economic shock continues to spread. Oil prices remain unstable, supply chains struggle to recover, and millions of people far from the battlefield begin to feel the impact, not through explosions, but through absence. No fuel, no movement, no stability. Back in the Persian Gulf, the fires are still burning. Thick smoke covers the horizon. The water no longer still, no longer silent. It carries the weight of everything that has just happened. And somewhere in that silence, another decision's being made, another move being planned, because this story isn't over, not even close. Operation Lion's Roll was never just about one night. It was a signal, a shift, a moment where everything changed. The United States proved it could strike with overwhelming force. Iran proved it could survive and respond. And the world was reminded of something it often forgets. In modern warfare, there are no clean endings, no clear victories, only outcomes that take years to understand. And as the smoke slowly fades, one question remains, not about who won, but about what comes next. Because the next move might decide everything.